There's an aspect in Homer and living in Alaska that it's wonderful. It's a beautiful place, but it's difficult. The winters are long, and so it's difficult to wait until Memorial Day to start planting outside.
This food is incredibly important on a health scale because people need to have a connection with the farmers that are producing their food, with how food is produced. So small-scale agriculture is the kind of model that can actually do that.
For years, we gardened without the high tunnel, and we could really only grow cold crops, and even that was limited. Wind was as much of an issue as the cold, being up. We're at about 1,100 feet. And it wasn't until the high tunnel that we could grow. We've grown corn, we've grown all kinds of stuff that people said you can't grow in Homer.
High tunnels allow our producers to manage the climate within their tunnel. It can be anything from increasing the water to help the plant ripen at the correct time, to managing mold and pest issues by reducing the humidity around the plants. It also increases the heat during the daylight hours, and Alaska is known for its midnight sun. The midnight sun definitely supercharges everything around here, and so that high tunnel really capitalizes on that.
You want to pick something?
We could get 2 heads of lettuce.
2 heads of lettuce, is that what Mom wants for dinner?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to choose? So we have dill here, parsley, cilantro, flat leaf parsley. We've already harvested lettuce from these 2 rows and we replanted.
I had a whole bunch of broccoli right here, and that shot up really fast. Cabbage, I always do really good with cabbage, so it just keeps going. I've already had beets that grew here, 3rd planting of spinach. That's my salad bed, and cauliflower, onions, and then kale behind you. Cucumbers, my kids eat cucumbers like they're going out of style. We've got so many zucchinis, it's like producing too much.
We also now have expanded into low tunnels. Low tunnels are less than 4 feet tall. They typically are a plastic, but they can also help protect from frost and again, manage moisture.
I have just seen, especially in these low tunnels here, the salad is just amazing under here. And so it's warm and wet, like a little rainforest, you know? and it's growing like twice as fast. Big fan of the low tunnels. They cut down on wind, obviously, which
we went from growing a very small amount of food that we got sick of really quick to growing more food than we can possibly eat on any given day.
And so I wanted to grow that season by a few months. And so building the high tunnel was one way that I could do that.
The one thing about everything that's in under plastic, whatever size plastic, is no rain. Therefore, you have to have a really robust irrigation system. And NRCS definitely helped with that as well.
2 of the primary funding sources here in Homer are the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, also known as EQIP, and then we also have the Conservation Stewardship Program, also known as CSP. Essentially, that means things like your high tunnels and your irrigation systems getting physical infrastructure on the ground, or if they have invasive species on their property, we can help manage it and helping offset some of those costs through financial assistance.
Yeah, so I started with NRCS 12 years ago with the EQIP program and put in a high tunnel. And that was for my family's food production. And then I've expanded from there, realizing that I needed a sophisticated irrigation system. Since my farm is on a hillside, it's well drained, but I needed to think about things like PSI and how I'm going to get water uphill and fertigate my nutrients across these fields. So NRCS was super helpful with my irrigation management practices.
I've got everything on switches here. I can just turn the pump on. Water comes through a filter, past a flow gauge, which shows me exactly how much water is going through the system each time I water. And then these are the different zones going to different parts of the garden. Before this, I just had a hose going from my house down here and then watering every row, or I put the sprinkler out and then try to remember to move it after a half hour and forget. So by not only having the system and being able to spot water, but then knowing exactly how much water I'm putting on the ground, that's huge too. So time and money, huge time savings and money savings as well.
NRCS is like the framework, literally and figuratively, that allows me to be successful growing a wider variety of crops than I ever could. And being able to respond to a wide range of environmental conditions in a place as extreme as Alaska is really essential. When I started looking at other small-scale farmers and their operations, I started hearing more about the purpose of small-scale agriculture, the role that it plays, the role that it can play, the potential.
If we can increase our capacity to grow here in Homer year-round food supplies, we'll increase the food security for all our community. And it is very important because, you know, we're in rural Alaska. Everything that comes into our community that we go and buy in our grocery store is trucked in or shipped in.
Food security is huge, just being able to have the quality of food you want, and then also the affordability factor. Not to mention the learning process for my daughter, because she's proud of it too, like the work that goes into it and being able to, you know, eat stuff that she's grown and has seen from seeds.
And it's really valuable when people see how food is grown, where it's grown, how it's grown well. I don't know, there's sort of a magic to it.
Look, Daddy. There's two right there.
I've never harvested a tomato before. That was monumental. You want to hold that, bud?
That's a big one.
That's a big one. Should we eat it today?
A lot of what I believe is, you know, let food be thy medicine. And this year, actually, I see it more than I ever have. Crops are just growing, like with gusto. So NRCS gets you to a point where you have the helping hand of the cost of infrastructure and building systems that work with natural elements as opposed to against them. And that's pretty profound.
Right now, it's just the simple vegetables that feed us. There's a pride there, there's an assurance. I'm thankful for it. So if people like to garden, if they like to produce for themselves and they have the space and the time to do it, then yeah, it's worth looking into.